But here's what I want to point out to you guys, all right? So let me just riff with you for a minute with a little monologue. This is something that kind of came up in my head this morning as I was thinking about it, and that is the fact that the emperor has no clothes. Emperor has no clothes. You know the old fable. And the problem is that we have become simple yes men to the charade of the emperor having no clothes. The average American is basically living under an illusion, a hollow kind of freedom that collapses under the slightest pressure, and the kind of freedom that is quickly violated and eagerly swept under the rug to be forgotten. You see, forgotten freedom means liberty that's not simply lost, it's forsaken. So why would anyone in their right mind forsake and forget their freedom? Remember that we're also a society that now requires an alert on our automobile's dashboard to remind us to check the back seat so that we won't forget our children. We're thoroughly distracted. No greater immediate responsibility rests upon all the citizens of this republic than to protect the freedoms vouchsafed by the Constitution of the United States. We keep electing the worst based off of celebrity status and popularity, and then we expect the best from our representation. We have failed in our basic citizenship and civic oversight responsibilities. We have outsourced our constitutional responsibilities to the wrong people, and many are mistakenly still waiting for those same people to ride to the rescue. They're not coming to save us, folks. They're too busy hobnobbing with the world's elites and loading their pockets from insider trading. You are nothing more than a pawn that is moved around at their whim and discarded when you're no longer deemed essential or even necessary. The reason they spent the last 2 years calling you non-essential is because in their minds, that's exactly what you've always been. But I want to address you, the individual. You, the individual that is more than just essential, you're absolutely vital. The sovereignty of the state and nation starts at the sovereignty of the individual. But please remember that sovereignty in the individual implies and necessitates responsibility in the individual. Now, we can no longer blame our troubles on a king or a cabal of military leaders or on some distant group of wise men off on a hill somewhere. Citizens who are sovereign must share a measure of the burdens and responsibilities of governing themselves. By allowing or by being coerced or forced to allow the government to take on the burdens and responsibilities of the individual, we lose our freedom and our liberty. This always leads to tyranny and the enslavement of the individual. So it's my prayer that you, the individual, are waking up to the reality that the emperor has no clothes. The emperor is a fraud. The emperor has no answers and certainly no solutions. Their rhetoric is nothing more than illusion that is used and utilized to keep you in a greater and greater state of confusion. So like the child in the fable, let's stand and individually call out the self-serving, egotistical, narcissistic, and destructive masquerade for the sham that it is. Death to tyranny, shame to the tyrant. Let's take our individual responsibility and let's change our world. Now, if you don't believe that the emperor has no clothes, then you weren't watching the State of the Union last night.